Careful. So super excited to be with you all today. And I am thrilled to be inviting Suzanne Giesemann to be with us. And Suzanne, I'll just read out what you need to know. So Suzanne is a retired US Navy commander who served as a commanding officer and aide to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff in the US. She now serves humanity as a verified evidential medium and messenger of hope. She is the founder of The Awakened Way, a path to knowing who you are and why you're here. And I heard Suzanne on an interview with the wonderful Dr. Eben Alexander, and I was completely blown away. And of course, our theme for this interview and the interviews I'm doing at the moment is how to be fearless, because we are living in very uncertain times, and the challenge for all of us is to handle fear. And I felt that Suzanne would absolutely have something to add to this conversation. So without further ado, I am just going to open this up here, bring Suzanne in. Suzanne, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Fiona, and thank you everybody for listening.
So on that theme of fear, the thing that I've really taken away from all your work is that there is this potential, whatever is going on in your circumstances, that there is this resource, there is this potential to actually experience incredible peace. And I'm going to be honest, in everything that I've been reading and listening to from you, I experience that from you in the work that you do, in the webinars that I've done, and just listening to you. So, I mean, that's going to be the biggest, I think, question that people might have today is, you know, with everything that's going on around us, with all the challenges and the uncertainty, how on earth can you possibly experience peace within?
You said that perfectly. How on earth can we possibly experience peace? If we truly think that we are only earthly beings, then peace is a temporary coming and going experience. So the whole key, Fiona, is recognizing that we are far more than just earthly beings. We are all beautiful, magnificent expressions of this limitless source, of the light, of God, whatever you want to call it. Even saying the word God limits it and puts people in little belief boxes. But in my work, I've come to realize that we are consciousness, awareness itself expressing in these earthly bodies. I have received phenomenal evidence over a decade of connecting with higher consciousness that has taken me outside of my little military box that I was in for my career before I became a medium, and has shown me that this peace that passes all understanding, that is a direct outcome of understanding we are consciousness and expression, is always available to us. It is always here because we truly are the light. And so as we learn to access our deeper nature, our true essence, which is peace, then peace becomes our normal way of living. When we realize we're off balance or fearful, as you come to know that peace is always here, that fearful state becomes so apparent. And there's this moment where you say, whoa, this is not who I am. I'm caught up in the story again. I'm caught up in my earthly drama. But now I know there's a greater aspect of me and everyone. I'm going to access that with the tools that I now know are at my disposal and be that state of peace. And I can speak of this from experience. I used to get knocked off balance all the time. And now I truly do live fearlessly And so I know it's possible for all of us. It comes through experience and learning and understanding and realizing who we are at our deepest level.
I love that. And Suzanne, what people may not realize, because look, you look such a gorgeous together person. People are just going to think you have this lovely life and your life has always been this lovely. And to be honest, what would you know about difficulty and pain and stress? So why don't you tell us,
I will.
words, what brought you into this work? Because you were this extraordinarily successful naval commander, for goodness sakes, in the US, rubbing shoulders with the hoi polloi president himself. And here you are doing the work that you do today. So
with 6 different presidents. And when in my final job, I was aide to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who was the head of the whole US military. And that sounds glamorous, and it was, but it was certainly stressful. And stressful because my thoughts made it so, you know, it had to be perfect. The most stressful moment that was not perfect at all was being with the general on 9/11, on September 11th. We flew over Manhattan and saw the burning trade towers. We went back to Washington and went into the burning Pentagon, our office building. We started to go into the center of the building where I knew we would start to see bodies. Talk about stressful and disturbing and upsetting. We ended up walking around the outside where I had to step over jet engine pieces on the grass. That is seared in my memory. But Fiona, I had no tools at that time to deal with that stress, that fear, other than what they taught us in the Navy, which is suck it up. That doesn't last very long. And that really takes a toll on the body, on your emotions. I have worked very hard to clear that out over the years. But the worst tragedy in human terms, in earthly terms of all, was several years later when my stepdaughter, my beloved Susan, my husband's daughter Susan, a sergeant in the US Marines, was crossing the flight line at her duty station and was struck by lightning and killed along with her baby. She was 6 months pregnant. That's what started me down this path. That devastated me and our family, not just took my legs out from under me. I didn't know how to deal with it. But luckily, by grace, something within me, that soul, that part of us that's always linked to higher awareness, nudged me to start meditating daily. My goal was to see if Susan was somehow alive in spirit. I'd heard about mediums. I'd heard about an afterlife. And that whole path of sitting quietly and asking the deep questions. Who are we really? Is there a greater reality? And my left brain that required evidence, not just nice messages and beautiful lights, brought forth the answers that I share with people today, and that has led me to live fearlessly. And I know, having not known about this ability beforehand, that all of us can access the greater reality because it's who we are at our essence, consciousness, all one mind, living through these finite expressions of this light as you and me and all that is. It's beautiful.
I love that. And it's such a timely message, Suzanne, because people are going to be feeling such incredible fear at the moment. And for most people, their answer is going to be, well, when I get a secure job, when I get enough money in the bank, when I've got to this point, when I'm certain about these various things, then I will be happy, and then I will feel safe. And it feels like everybody is chasing that feeling of feeling safe. And at the moment, everybody is being pushed, I guess, way out of their comfort zone to feel this fear right now.
What a gift that is.
Go ahead, sorry, Suzanne.
It's our greatest suffering that leads to our greatest breakthroughs. If Susan hadn't passed, I would probably still be in my left brain and I'd be suffering along with everyone else. So this period of discomfort causes us to ask questions, nudges us to seek something greater because what we've been doing hasn't been working. So embrace that discomfort and now say, I'm ready for something more. But it's that asking and thinking, asking what will help me and thinking it's something that's coming in the future that leads us astray. What we need to realize is right here, right now, the answers are available. The peace is available. And it all comes with shifting our awareness, shifting our point of view. What I've come to know with the preponderance, overwhelming evidence is that we do have a life after this one. We are souls here and now. I talk to people who have passed. They tell me things I couldn't possibly have known. This shows me that they still exist. Your loved ones who passed still exist. They will guide us. Higher consciousness in many forms as guides will give us answers. We ourselves have access to any answer we need, but this takes a shift in perspective. That's kind of getting ahead of the game. Right here, right now, if you're afraid of losing a job, of losing your livelihood, of losing your life, what do? You open the belief that there is something more. You take some deep centering breaths like Fiona and I did at the beginning of this interview to just become present. What happens is we worry about the future, that brings fear. We focus on the past, that brings pain. Being present brings peace. So a few centering breaths to just be here now. And then here's a great exercise. Imagine you've already died. Suddenly you're a soul without the body. And you're like your loved ones who are in the spirit world now, looking down on everyone here. Take that higher perspective now, and what do you see? You see all the parts coming together. But from this higher perspective, you suddenly know that's all playing out. And you can feel the peace, and you know that under it all, there is a greater intelligence guiding all of this, and all is ultimately okay. At the deepest level, nothing can harm us. When you can align with that guidance, that being centered at every moment, then you're no longer being driven by fear. And trust this, then things fall into place. Then your life flows. But as long as you're aligned with fear and the temporary story, you get exactly what your fears fear. So align with peace regularly and watch how things line up.
I love that. I love it. I love it. My son has this great fear of losing his hair. He's a barber, and he's got this his worst fear in life. He keeps telling me.
If that's his worst fear, then even if it comes to pass, he'll find out people still love him. And what was I so worried about, right?
But I say, listen, don't keep focusing in that way on that thing, because you're driving all your attention on that. So I love that, Suzanne. And maybe if we have time at the end before we finish, if you could you guide us through a short type of meditation that could give us a direct experience
Yes.
of what we could start to do?
Yes, I'd be happy to. It's very simple.
Yeah, but I love what you're saying, that this is practical as well as spiritual. Because what I'm hearing you say is, look, you get yourself out of that fear quickly, and you align with the true essence of you, your soul, yes, your spirit, your higher self. You align with that. And what I think I'm hearing you say is that there's vast amounts of support and help available that then comes in, so that we not only feel better in that moment, like very quickly, but actually things start to shift and change in our life, and actually life becomes easier. Is that fairly accurate?
That is completely accurate. And it's a deeper understanding to know that these higher minds ultimately are like a triangle. We have our human minds here, then those who guide us, but it all merges back into the one infinite intelligence. So if we trust that infinite intelligence to play out as it will, as guides or as the perfect person here who comes into our life, then this is exactly what happens. So it comes down to setting the intention of being guided. The
Yeah.
first key is believing that that you are an aspect of this infinite intelligence and creativity and potential.
Yes.
And then setting the intention to align with it so that you benefit from that intelligence and guidance, and then remaining open to it, which requires awareness. When we're in a state of fear, we're not aware, we're restricted. Can you feel fear constricts you? Peace opens you. So
Totally.
we'll do that in the meditation, but just knowing this is how it works, try it, apply it, and you'll just see how things start flowing better.
I love it. I love it, Suzanne. I love it because I've experienced it. And here's the thing, I have to constantly remind myself that I've had that experience of being in a
Yeah.
place of extreme fear, getting desperate enough to go, okay, maybe I don't know everything then after all. And could you help me if there is something out there or someone?
That's it. And I've had panic attacks. Oh my goodness, yes. And some of them brought on deliberately by my team of guides, 3 a.m, waking up in an absolute panic and saying, what's going on? What is this all about? But knowing enough to be aware, because I'm asking something outside this fear, what's going on, and hearing, observe it, watch it, it will flow through you like smoke, like somebody blew a cigar smoke in your face. I watched it, it passed, and I was back to peace. It was absolutely given to me as a lesson. So many people go into a panic and they don't realize this. They focus on the fear and it stays with them. Then they become afraid it's going to happen again and again. And it does, because they don't know how to just observe it and let it pass.
And crucially, Suzanne, to reach up to, what shall we say, spirit, to that higher consciousness, whatever word or phrase that people are
But
comfortable using.
that's true in a way, but what that does is keeps us stuck in a little me, greater power mode.
Okay.
What we really do is surrender. And here is a huge insight. Surrender doesn't mean little me surrenders to bigger you, God. Surrender comes from sur, which means higher. Render means to melt. So we don't reach out or grasp this higher thing, we melt into it. We become one with it.
Beautiful.
So people have had tremendous spiritually transformative experiences and feelings of oneness, and their whole life turned around when they finally say, I give up, I can't do this alone. But what's really happening then is the light comes in and takes over, and they become one with the light. And then the guidance flows.
I love that.
So it takes us from a place of weakness. Surrender is not weakness. It's a place of saying, yes, this finite me in earthly form can't handle this. We've never been alone. This is the message. We've always been connected to this infinite intelligence. We are an expression of it. So let it work through you.
I love that.
Surrender to that flow and surrender the fear. You'll learn to trust this amazing, miraculous, wonderful magnificence, and life becomes magical.
I love it. Let me just very briefly, because this isn't about me, this is about your amazing wisdom. But when I had this experience, it was about 5 years ago, and I was, making good money, but it was hard. It was just really hard work, and my life was a constant hustle. And one day I just thought, oh my God, I just can't do this anymore. And I canceled all my clients. And I just felt like I got to the end of the road of doing life one particular way.
Yeah.
And I threw up my arms and I said, dear God Almighty, I'm a Catholic, so I use all that language, or I was brought up a Catholic. And it was just basically, dear God Almighty, if there is anything up there, please, dear God, I'm open. So, I had all the theory. I had, all the books. I had conversations with God and everything, all those books in my bookshelves and all the angel books and you name it. But actually, it wasn't until I was brought to my knees in fear and desperation.
And that's the gift. When we can see that, you look back at that now and see it as a gift. And it feels so awful, but you're still here and you're better for it.
But
So
here's what I wanted to say, Suzanne. I wanted to say that, you know, I didn't have an extraordinary experience where an angel flew in and presented themselves to me, and I didn't have a loud, booming voice, which would have been lovely, of course. But what I noticed was that literally the next day, I was having coffee in my usual place at about 11 o'clock. What I noticed was that I felt completely different.
Yes.
Nothing had actually changed in my life. I hadn't met some wonderful man. I hadn't won the lottery, but I felt completely and utterly different.
Yes.
Now, if people are listening, they're probably going to be thinking, yeah, that's nice, Fiona, but what actually changed? I mean, did your life get better? Yeah, the most extraordinary things happened.
Yeah.
So I went back to talking to people. You know, I'm working as a coach, but I'm also talking to a lot of people on the phone as to what we can offer them. And what I noticed was that I just stopped selling. I never even got to the point of saying, now listen, here's what I think you should buy and here's what I think I can offer you. Because people were just melting. And I didn't even notice that. They were simply saying, listen, yeah, I think I could do with that. Let me just get my credit card. And so, in all honesty, it wasn't until about 2 weeks later that my assistant phoned me up and said, what on earth are you doing? And I said, well, what do you mean? She said, have you any idea how much money you've made in the past 2 weeks? Like how much money I have transactions I've processed? And the truth is I hadn't. Something in me had completely changed. And I made more money in that month than ever. It was unbelievable.
So if I could just make a point, because right now I could feel the energy of everybody listening going, look, I can get money. And just notice that adrenaline rush. That's human thinking, and there's nothing wrong with it. Money is fabulous. It allows us comfort. It brings us pleasure, but it will trap you. It's one of the greatest tools of learning here on the earth. So Viktor Frankl in Man's Search for Meaning put it beautifully. Do not aim for success or riches, for in so doing you will miss the mark. Success will ensue when you pursue something greater than your personal good. I'm paraphrasing now. So that's lovely. These beautiful gifts, they'll come. But if that's your soul goal, then you're not aligned with the true soul. And then suffering really does ensue. But you can, that's a beautiful story, Fiona, because it all happened when you shifted what you were radiating.
100%. And I'm so glad that you made that point, Suzanne, about the money, because here's the thing. I don't often like sharing that story because I know that if people listening to it go, oh my God, that's amazing. What exactly did Fiona do? Because I'm going to do that. And that for me, it's probably not going to work, because what had happened for me is that everything in me shifted and changed. I became a different person, literally overnight. Now, I'm not perfect. I have my off days.
Don't we?
I went from being this person who was pushing and shoving to this person who was just
surrendering.
And also naturally more concerned about how can I help? What do you need?
Yes.
So I became this person who was much more interested in service rather than sales. Yes. It was a conscious decision. It wasn't a cerebral decision. But what you're saying about the energy coming in, the truth is, and I've never said this before, that is exactly what happened. I just experienced myself as a different person.
What you likely experienced was that connection. When we want to serve, it's because we are all connected at the level of light. And this is the definition I understand of love. Love is lack of separation. So when we realize that innately beneath the physical form, science has even proven that nothing is solid. It's all this vibration. It's all events, vibrational events. The physical form is. Beneath all that, we're all connected as this infinite intelligence, this light. So just melt into that, align with that, and you are love in expression. And you can't help but want to serve others. And that's when the abundance flows. But the cool thing is, then you're no longer addicted to it. Then you no longer need it. Then you no longer strive for it and have to have it. I had this image, Fiona, of everybody going, ooh, so she got peaceful and money flowed. So I'm going to sit here and get peaceful. Where's the money? You know, that hopefully what you're saying and what I'm sharing helps people see that that's the fringe benefit, the abundance flowing. The greatest benefit is the change within ourselves.
100%. The peace.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the truth is, if one thinks that the money is going to bring peace, then there's no end. There is no end. There is no end. I saw the Paris Hilton documentary that everybody's talking about at the moment. And, you know, she's obviously very, very wealthy. And she said that, you know, what her goal has been, and to some extent still is to make enough money so that she'll feel happy. And I thought,
Oh my, good luck with that.
good luck with that, girl.
Yeah.
And she's a millionaire many times over.
And I just heard a statistic yesterday. I can't remember the actual number, but it was how many people who win the lottery actually, it was suicide, end up taking their own lives. Yeah. Because they don't find the happiness, and it brings on more stress than they had before. So nothing wrong with money, but it's the addiction to it. But that's aside. The peace that comes from realizing who we are, expressions of love and light, and why we're here to experience that. That's what brings wealth beyond measure.
And I guess that feeling of feeling safe, feeling secure, feeling peace, that people think is going to come from all the money and the this, that, and the other.
Exactly. The greatest fear, of course, there are two things: fear of not being loved, like your son who's afraid of losing his hair. If you were really to dig under that, it's people won't love me if they don't like the way I look. I have to look a certain way. Everything boils down to fear of not being approved, not being appreciated, not being loved. But then the ultimate fear is the fear of death. And this realizing that we don't die, and I have so much evidence that shows that, takes away even the fear of death. So what is left to fear? Nothing. Unfortunately, these human bodies, I'm pointing to the lower brain, the brainstem right now, are programmed for survival. So the fear still pops up. I had a dream the other night that had me screaming out loud in the middle of the night, terror. And I woke up and I was shaking, and all that adrenaline, that's the physical body. And I had to sit there and use my own tools to get back to center. And I just laughed and said, well, it goes with the territory as long as I have this body. But when we recognize fear happens, but it'll pass, it takes 90 seconds for the body to metabolize those chemicals that arise with fear. If we breathe through that, you're right back to peace.
I love that. And, you know, of course, you're absolutely right. The ultimate fear that people have is of death. And potentially that is part of the fear that's driving people right now to want to have more restrictions, to want to have lockdown. And the government, certainly in the UK, is feeling that need to pander to that fear.
If I could address that, my stepdaughter was killed instantly by they tried to save her for 7 hours, but she was gone. At 27 years old, I deal with people all the time whose loved ones passed before their time in our human perception, which shows us how precious every moment is. So to live our lives now in fear and cloister ourselves, we are not here fulfilling our purpose. This does not mean that we don't take protective measures. So if you're feeling sick or you're around people who have the potential of getting sick, absolutely protect others and yourself. But otherwise, we're here to live fully. How can we do that within those limits? That's the question. So find a way to bring joy into your lives within these restrictions, but live every moment as if it's your last in physical form. There is never a last moment, but love fully. Our dog was given a diagnosis a year ago, last July, that he would die within 2 months. We were devastated, and we just clung on to him and loved him so much. And now it's 15 months later. He's still with us thanks to a healing that he had, but we know he could go at any instant. We love him more than ever. We spoil him thoroughly. What if we did that with everyone and with ourselves in every instant? But if you're living in your house afraid to go outside, you're just as trapped as someone who's in a body and doesn't realize we're already free. Those across the veil have shown me over and over and over with stunning evidence this quote: if it's your time, you'll go. If it's not, you'll stay. So trust the universe. We could all be hit by a car walking out the door right now. Did you say I love you to your loved one? Did you fulfill your bucket list? Now, don't let anything hold you back as long as you don't harm or endanger anyone else in the meantime.
Got it. Got it. That's a message that people so need to hear right now, Suzanne. And, you know, in all honesty, I think that what you shared today, if people take this to heart, this could be the biggest transformation in their life.
I hope so. It only takes a moment, and I hope that for everyone's sake, someone doesn't have to die, so like our Susan did, so they learn this lesson. No one has to get hurt, so they learn this lesson. But that is how we learn our lessons. So everything is a gift. When we realize there is no death of the soul, even the death of a loved one leads to growth, and they are still right here with us, and they are happy, happy, happy on the other side and peaceful. They instantly feel that peace and look back. One of the greatest things those across the veil come through to say is their apologies and thank yous and I love you. The things they didn't say while they were here. So take this moment of togetherness with all and do that, but also see how you might be holding yourself back because of your fears, and see how unnecessary those fears are when you shift perspective.
Beautiful. So there's 3 things that I'm really taking from what you've said. So I think the first one, Suzanne, is to shift perspective so that you don't see yourself as just this being on this earthly plane, just having this human existence, being a human being, but you realize you are connected to spirit.
And you may have to do that 100 times a day until it becomes ingrained. Okay.
I love that, because I'm the sort of person who does it once and goes, well, I don't know if that worked or not.
No, real fast, you'll be right back in the drama.
Love it. I love it. So you've got to constantly remember that. Remind yourself of that.
Yeah, I wear special rings and jewelry to remind myself, where's my focus right now? The drama or the higher perspective? Just, yeah.
Thank you. Definitely needed to hear that, because I'm just that person. So the shift, and then the second one I heard you say was the surrender, so that you invite in. It's not like you're asking God to help me, but you're opening up and you're inviting in that connection. So
that's it.
Yes. Okay, so that's the surrender. And there was a third S. There was the shift, there was the surrender. What do you think is the third?
Well, intention to align. Yeah.
Yes. Set. I'm going with the S's today. So we've got, and I will include this in the description for the video.
I love it.
Set your intention. Now, when you say that, Suzanne, setting your intention is to, just talk me through that again.
That would be the intention to realize and remember I'm so much more than this physical story, and to align with the peace and the love that is my true nature as often as possible, constantly if possible, and to receive the flow of guidance, inspiration, and love that keeps me balanced and connected and fearless, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit like they say in A Course in Miracles, that the book, The Course in Miracles, that there's only 2 things. There is fear and love. Or another way of looking at it is fear, peace. What do you think?
Yes. These are all the fruits of the spirit, as they say, right? When you align with your true nature, the joy
Yeah.
that doesn't change, that isn't up and go or conditional, peace and love are right here. They always are here.
Yeah.
We're just excavating the stuff that's hiding that from us. You are already whole and complete. You came in that way, you go out that way. Everything else is story. And nothing wrong with the story. Look how we learn from it. Look how we have fun and joy from it. Look how we love each other intensely as a result of this story. This is why infinite intelligence became you, for this beautiful experience of being you. So shine fully, and you are living on purpose. When you live fearlessly, you're constricting your potential. And that's okay to infinite intelligence, but you'll get to the other side and look back and say, oh man, I could have done so much more, if only.
I could have had a much better time. I could have enjoyed myself.
Yeah.
If only I hadn't been so worn out with worry or
Right. Please don't beat yourself up for that. We come here for the joy of remembering and awakening. So it's all good. It's all good. You're perfect right now. But would you like to add a little more love and peace? Let's do it.
Please. I think that takes us nicely into that little experience. If you would walk us through it.
All right. And the beautiful part about this, we could call it a meditation, but it's just a way of living what I'm about to walk you through. So you can do this with eyes open or eyes closed. This is another beautiful thing to realize. All we're going to do is set the intention to get to know our true nature and know how to access it. I'm using a modified version of my 7 Steps to Higher Consciousness, which is on my website, a video on the gifts page, SuzanneGiesemann.com/gifts, 7 Steps to Higher Consciousness. But we start always with that, with an intention. And I'll just walk you through this right now. But let's just close our eyes for to have a deeper experience. And we'll begin with the breath. And in doing so, we're going to shift from this waking, focused state to a more open, relaxed state. So breathe in nice and fully and breathe into the heart area, nice and deep. Hold it for a moment. And now exhale slowly, longer than you just inhaled. You're actually triggering the relaxation response in breathing this way. You should feel instantly more peaceful. So let's do it again with the intention of feeling that shift in how you feel. Breathe in slowly, run it around the heart, and exhale long and slowly, releasing anything that doesn't serve you. Notice already the difference. This piece is as close as your breath. You didn't go anywhere to find it. You simply shifted. Let's shift our awareness from the head where we're listening and where we were looking. Move awareness to the heart area. We connect with each other through the heart. We connect with all dimensions of being through the heart. So see that heart area like a golden sun within you, just a beautiful visualization. And that sun shoots out rays in every direction. Send them out now. There's no length to these rays. They just shine on and on and on. And visualize those rays connecting you with everyone in your soul group, everyone in existence, and now even beyond this earthly existence, connecting you with the field of light. Let's take in one more deep breath. And as we exhale, expand and open your awareness to become the entire field of light. Let's do it. Let's hear the breath. Sitting in this state of peace that is always here. Let's just release our grip on all of our patterned beliefs and stories about our present life. Releasing the grip is the same as melting into this higher light, the true meaning of which is surrender. So simply state, I surrender, and melt into pure being. How does this feel right now? Just being. Because you have surrendered your beliefs, there is not a care in the world right now. Those cares still exist at the level of being human. But in this state, you can access answers to those cares, insights about those cares. In this state of connection with all that is, with higher consciousness, we can actually ask for that guidance. So moving awareness, keeping it right there in the heart, ask from the heart, what is it I need to know in this instant when I return to the story? Ask that question from the heart. As I, Suzanne, asked that question, I heard, peace is always here. You likely heard something else. Where did that voice come from? Some might call it the Holy Spirit, the higher voice, the voice of consciousness, your higher self. Does it matter? The source is one, and you are one with it. Know that you can access this place, this state of peace in just a few of those deep, heart-filled, intention-filled breaths, and access that higher guidance. But let's just do something different for a moment. Notice how you feel. Hold on to that relaxed, open state and open your eyes. Keep a soft gaze and notice how you feel. Set the intention now to access this open, connected with source, aware state at any time, and know that even with your eyes open, you can go about your day in human form, yet knowing I am the light. Do this often and be transformed. And there's no need to slip back into a meditative state now. Just hold this. You'll slip back into your busy lives, but now you know how to shift perspective at any time.
Beautiful, Suzanne. I just want to keep that nice feeling.
Yeah.
And then, what would you suggest that we do to remind ourselves during the day, or that we are, I guess, connected to spirit, that we have that connection, that we're not just earthly beings?
There are many tools we can use to remind ourselves throughout the day. Like I said, sometimes I have a little rubber wristband I made that says, how would love act? I have a special ring that I wear on my little finger, and when I get so used to it being there that I don't notice it, I switch it to the other finger, and it feels unusual, and I notice it, and I say, ooh, I haven't shifted point of view lately. So those are little tools. Or there are even apps like for your phone, like Remindfulness, that makes a dinging sound at odd moments throughout the day. When that goes off, it's just a moment when you can say, am I consciously aware of my higher self, or am I stuck in the story? Just anything that you can do to increase your flexibility of awareness, and you will find yourself experiencing so much more peace and fearlessness. I love this topic you've chosen.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's because I'm just aware of it myself. I feel it myself sometimes, to be honest, and I'm just aware of my clients and everyone I talk to, and it's Just
That word awareness, if that could become everybody's key, we become like, I teach people to become like our Navy ships. When I was in the Navy, they're constantly scanning the horizon with a radar. Become that passive radar in awareness. What am I feeling inside? Is it fear, anxiety? What am I experiencing outside? And with that awareness, ask, is there a higher perspective, and move to the heart. It's the constant awareness that will change you.
totally, totally, totally. I agree with you completely. Um, and I love that you send out, once we sign up to your website, that we get this daily message from you as well, and that really always resonates with me. It always feels like it's just being written for me and what I needed to hear on that day. So I know that everybody will be signing up to your website and will get that message. And your books, of course, you've written so many. I'm reading Messages of Hope, or Messenger. I think that's it at the moment. And is there anything else?
The Messages of Hope, I'm so grateful, is in book form. It's on Kindle. It's in audio form. And there's a documentary made from the book on YouTube, Messages of Hope. Just do Suzanne Giesemann, Messages of Hope. So many videos. I have classes that teach tools, monthly mentoring webinars of the latest teaching from my guides in the previous month. Just so many ways to connect and empower all of you to find this peace yourself.
Yeah, and I'm going to put all of that around the video so everybody can reach out to you and be part of your community. Is there anything, Suzanne, that you would want to say? Anything you haven't said already? Anything you want to add here?
I feel that I said everything, but always I ask people to do what I just did now. You just check higher and say, is there anything else? And what I heard was, don't lose hope in yourself. I love that. I've never heard that message before, but it's true. You came here to remember who you are. And there may be sudden awakenings and then we slip back. It's like peeling off layers of an onion. That's why Fiona and I both agree. We still have our very human moments, but it's so awesome as we peel off those layers, it just reveals more and more and more of the joy that's our true nature. So don't give up hope. Just apply these tools and ask your own guides for the guidance that's perfect for you. You are already perfect.
Bless you. Thank you so much, Suzanne.